Welcome to Sergeant Greenleaf's installation of the S&G 2890B alarm kit. For the 2890B alarm kit, you will find these components in the box. Center PCB assembly. Combination lock PCB assembly. Terminal block PCB assembly. Cables. Combination bolt position switch. Installation hardware. Tape double-sided. Dial rotation sensor. When installing the Sergeant Greenleaf 2890B alarm kit, we will need to disassemble the unit down to the mechanical assembly. Once we have the 2890B device broken down to the mechanical assembly, remove the mechanical assembly from the door so that we can install the actual alarm kit. Remove the upper housing by removing the two fasteners. Remove the lower housing by removing the two fasteners. Once our housings are removed, we'll start by installing the combination lock PCB. When installing the lock PCB, ensure that the wide connector is positioned toward the bottom of the housing. And secure the PCB. After the lock PCB is installed, we will then install the dial rotation sensor. Next, install the dial rotation sensor. Remove film from one side of the included two-sided foam tape and apply it to the center of the rectangular recess at the top of the combination lock housing. Remove the remaining film and press the dial rotation sensor directly to the tape, keeping the sensor centered in the recess with the brown flex cable exiting to the left. Plug the brown flex cable into the connector at the top of the combination lock PCB, taking care that the cable is clear of being pinched by later installation of the lock and lock cover. The dial rotation sensor is installed. We next must install the terminal block PCB. Terminal block installation for the PCB will require you to orient the terminal block PCB as shown. Secure the terminal block. Connect the cables to the center module. Locate the two 20-pin connectors on the large center module PCB. The two cables are identical and can be connected to either connector. The tamper switch settings on the PCB is either normally open or normally closed. This is set with a sliding switch on the center module. Make note of the selected mode. You will need this information when wiring the lock to an external monitoring system. Install the center module PCB and cable into the mechanical assembly and secure. Remove the 4 screws from the mechanical assembly cover. You will then be able to install the center module PCB and cable. Once you have the back cover plate removed from the center module, you will need to prepare the module to receive the electronics. Rotate one of the square spindles of the module with a large screwdriver so that the bolt is retracted. Slide the small triangle forward. Orient the mechanical assembly and center module PCB so that the two cables are out through the two square holes in the mechanical assembly. Once we have the PCB installed and secure, install the back cover plate back onto the mechanical assembly. Reconnect the lock housing and access control housing to the mechanical assembly. Once the cable end is inside the housing, it will align closely with the appropriate connector on the access control and combination lock PCBs. Align the tab on the cable end with the slot on the connector. Press firmly. To install the combination bolt position switch, ensure that the notch is at the bottom of the plate and it aligns with the notch on the housing surface. Secure. Insert the connector into the white receptacle on the PCB. The short end of the lever must point toward the switch and must rotate freely. When installing the lock, make sure that your position switch is installed above the notch of the bolt extension. If you install it and the position switch rests under the notch on the bolt extension, it will prevent you from extending the bolt. Each lock sensor has 4 connection points: normally open, normally closed, common, and resistor. 6 wiring options are provided to the right to be selected depending on the desired sensor response and wire tampering monitoring. To ensure the dial rotation function, voltage must be supplied to terminal PCB. Once you have completed installing the alarm kit, continue the installation of the 2890B locking device. This completes the 2890B alarm kit integration installation. For more information, please visit www.sargentandgreenleaf.com/2890B.